Hey everybody, welcome back. This is another Baron's Breakdowns, and today I kind of want to go over something that you guys probably experience but don't know really what's going on, and that is an unfavorable matchup. And in this case, I am going up against Knights with my Guardians deck, and since I'm more of a mid-range with some explosive plays that I can do to kind of like widen my board, still Knights being a hyper aggressive deck, it's usually pretty hard to navigate when they set up pretty well. And in this case, going up against Juan, he does see everything in order the way you want to see Knights functions. He will start off with Laswell, dealing with my backups, which starts taking away resources and my ability to use CP efficiently in order to kind of stay afloat while he continues to aggro me out. Laswell also has another ability in which if himself or another knight has attacked that turn at the end phase, you have to discard a card. And that I'll go over just a little bit more because that it becomes extremely relevant. Because what happens is you have to know what to discard, because if you're just discarding random stuff, it can bite you in the butt. So let's take a look at what happens during this game. And it's a pretty fast one too. So we're all shuffling up here, and congrats to Juan though for like kind of like pivoting to a really good deck. I for one hate sitting in front of Knights because of how fast the games end, but at the same time it does measure you as a player on your critical thinking and how well you can pivot and navigate certain matchups and situations. But when Knights just flows extremely well and they see all the cards that they want to see in order, and that happens with a lot of decks, you know, if you're playing against Warrior of Light, if you're playing against Mono Earth, or if you're playing against me and I have a good start with the Guardians, which I do here, but you'll see that even with the tools that Knights has, having a good start on a mid-range deck is still not good enough. Like, you have to get lucky with EX bursts, you have to get lucky that your opponent doesn't draw well, like they don't have hot hands. So we go get the dice roll going out of the way, and let's see exactly what happens. I believe I end up going first. Snap mulligan that hand because it was not good. And we actually see quite a bit of backups, which is nice. Let's see what happens here. And the old thumbs up. And I know that he's on Knights, so I'm gonna opt in for a more aggressive backup build here, because I know I at least want to be on 2 backups when he starts taking cards out of my hand. And I do want to get my colors online. Normally here I will search either Riku or Brother, but in this case we do have Elen in there for this main reason, that we just don't want to get wrecked on our colors. So we're set up here, you know, we got 2 backups, 2 cards in hand, and this is where things just start falling apart. So you can do, like, you could play your deck properly and still just end up on the back foot here. And that's really what this is all about, right? Like, you may feel like, man, I didn't play this correctly. If I just felt like I made like a mistake, I just don't know where. But was it a mistake to put 2 backups out? I mean, I don't think so. But this is where it is. It starts off with Laswell. Now there's a glare on there, but I'll pull up the card so you guys can see what Laswell does. But turn 1 Laswell, when you're going second, it's so good in Knight. Now he has Beatrix, and every time a Knight comes out, he's gonna dull freeze my stuff. So now we got Beatrix and we got Laswell. That means his next turn he can discount the next Knight that he brings out by 2, but because he doesn't have a backup, he's kind of still discounting for 1, but I'm pretty sure he starts paying like the same CP, which it kind of sucks, because Knights, at least you want to see like the Larza turn 1. You can go and get your Cruella or your Ramza. So here it's just like, okay, you know, I've got to make a decision here. He's pulling out stuff, and I gotta somehow, some way, like, deal with this. Another reason why I want to go hyper aggressive on these backups is because I do play the Fire Eject. Fire Eject is an EX burst that will deal a natural 4,000 plus 1,000 for every other category, for every category 10 character on the field. Now I say other, but it does count him when he's on the field, when he comes in. But it won't count him if he's EX bursted. But that's what I was trying to go here because I needed the Laswell off the field. Did not get that. So now I'm just debating whether I should have gone Waka, but in this case I need the card draw because I just gave him 3 cards out of my hand. To kind of supplement that, we just need more CP. But now I have a forward on the field. Maybe he'll, you know, target that with a dull freeze and leave my backups alone, which is what I want him to do. But what Knights likes to do is just flood the board. So I can put out, you know, a forward here, but he manages to just dull freeze the whole backups. So he's kind of just thinking on his play right here. We can fast forward this just a little bit more. Because he's contemplating his numbers. Oh no, yeah, he discounts, goes straight for the Ramza. But here, because he's still fairly new with the deck, kind of having him like understand that when a knight comes out, he must trigger his last wall, right? At least choose a target. So, and here he's also choosing, who is it, Gawain? All right, and kind of just tell him like, hey man, like you gotta choose your targets first. Gawain doesn't enter the field right away, unless it was Gorilla or something, but I think it was Gawain. Because I do have the Coquelin in hand, which means that he's gonna get the dull freeze for the Ramza, but if I can blank the Laswell here, he's only gonna get that one, and he won't get the discard. But it takes 2 cards out of my hand, so it's just kind of like, do I do this or not do this? But because I haven't taken any damage yet and it's early, I normally like to use my damage as resource. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to take some damage here. Let's see if I can burst. But the big contemplating move here is that, do I blank this Laswell? And I don't. Don't, because I want to keep resources in my hand. All right, so I know I promised we're just going to fast forward some of this. So we'll just go to playback speed. Hit the zoomies. Woo! Here we go. All right, and it just starts going downhill from here. So he gets the Gawain. So now he's gonna search 2 things, but now he gets 2 dull freezes, which means he's gonna get the Luna Freya dull frozen as well. Which he didn't have to, because as these knights are coming in, remember Beatrix is bumping by 2,000. That's what he's indicating. And it's like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to block that anyways, and I kind of need my forward out. So once again, just thinking, and this is, okay, so crucial part right here. I pitched a Riku. He made me discard, and mind you, he didn't go super aggressive, right? Put me on 1, he's just like, he's hanging out. We've had this matchup before, and he understands that my damage threshold, I proc at 3, and then I proc at 5. 3 is for the starter deck Opus 16 Yuna, that gives the Guardians plus 2,000. And 5 is the multi-element Yuna, one that starts yanking category 10 cards, category 10 forwards from my deck, which helps build my board a lot faster. But he knows this, so he will never put me on 5 and pass. So that's good on him. He's learning, he's adapting. It happened once, and he says never again. If he ever sees those colors on my side of the field, he will never put me to 5. That's smart. Props to you, Juan. You are learning, you're adapting. Okay, so, like I said, big issue. I pitched the Riku. That was the only win CP in my hand. And I had just drawn, I believe, the 4 CP Yuna with an Auron, which means I could develop my board. But the Auron, the lightning rod, means all that stupid dull freezing and stuff like that has to target him. And it's a good way to offset that. And if he decides to deal with it, with his knights, he has to duel 4 knights, which means those 4 knights that he duels aren't going to attack me. It buys me time, and time is what I need to continue to set up my board and to present removal. I need forwards to build up either the Waka real counters, or I need to build up characters to do a Tidus LB. something to get them off the field, you know, or more characters for the fire eject or something like that. Something to just start getting the knights off the field. And at 4, already staring down at 4 very strong ones, and Laswell being the first one to hit the field, it's looking very bleak. But yeah, so I pitched this, and I don't have another wind card in my hand. This sucks, because now I kind of just have to like figure out, okay, what's the next move that I can do? And the next move that I do is just I show my opponent frustration. I just can't hide it anymore, because it's just like, why didn't I just pitch one of the water cards in my hand? Well, because the play that I had in my head was to be greedy, because I had enough CP that if I had drawn another wind card, I could do 2 CP Waka into Yuna into Orin, and then break the last one. Okay, that would have been great, because he had already attacked. He didn't have 4 active knights, which means this is the opportune moment. This is getting a little bit away from me. That was the opportune moment to present that side on my field and kind of build my board and to start reducing his. Fortunately, did not draw the win CP, so pitching the Riku was terrible, but that's through hindsight. Now I know that was terrible, because I did have extra water cards in my hand, but because I wanted to see that line of play, the thought process said, okay, well, Riku seems to be the best choice in order to see this play through. And then when I top deck and it's just not wind, that shit just happens. Okay, does that mean that the deck is bad? No, it just means that in that certain situation, unfortunately, the variance of what I was going to draw wasn't in my favor. Okay, and you're gonna see that a lot when you're playing your decks and you're starting out learning the game, and you feel like, man, all I keep doing is just making bad mistakes. My opponent keeps capitalizing, stuff like that. Sometimes you could make good, like good plays, right? Like, okay, you know, I thought this was a good idea, and unfortunately, you just get punished for it. So this is pretty much like the final turn. I'm not gonna get away from this. He just deploys a Corilla, which again, it will proc the Laswell. He's gonna go ahead and flip two bodies here, Charlotte and a Delita, which is gonna cause Laswell to just proc 2 more times and just completely deal with my board. I mean, I just can't come back from this. But again, he's gonna show restraint. All right, and here I'm just gonna try and rely on burst. Unfortunately, I just don't see it. All right, so you see how he doesn't attack with the Ramza. He keeps the Ramza active because he knows that he wants to do the Knight's ability, but I just scoop because again, I just draw no win CP, and the play that I wanted to do, I just can't do it anymore because now the Charlotte's on the field. And just like my Orin has that lightning rod ability, the Charlotte, she has that same thing. So if I wanted to do my play, the Waka would have to target the Charlotte. I can't deal with the Ramza, and Ramza is like a loaded shotgun, you know, just like the what is it, the Refia. You can dole 4 active Word of Light and it'll do some removal. Ramza will do the same thing. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the perk of, you know, reactivating all the knights during the start of the attack phase and then drawing you a card, because that would be extremely powerful. But yeah, guys, so again, I just wanted to touch base on the idea that you can play a deck over and over again, get good with it, have good matchups, but sometimes there's pivotal moments in which you think this is going to be the most optimal line, and unfortunately it just bites you in the ass. In this case, I threw away the win CP, which disabled me from building up my board, but I did that because the play needed the extra water CP in my hand. Now, if I was less greedy, I would have just pitched the Orin because I know I could just bring it back with the Yuna. But because I know I also needed to present removal, I opted for that line, and unfortunately, it didn't happen. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I really just want to highlight that. Again, congrats to Juan, who's learning how to pilot Knight. It's not as brain dead as some people may think it is. You have to see certain lines, and if you don't, you have to make a little bit more CP efficient plays. But normally, the idea is that you just don't whiff on Corilla. but that is luck based, not skill based. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time.